Hi everyone, Amy here, and I have a fun technique to share with some Copic markers. So let's jump right in. I'm showing you I have an A2 size panel of 110 pound cardstock. I have this awesome 3D embossing folder and a handful of Copic markers if you want to take a screenshot with the colors that I used. And I'll show you the pictures of the cards that I'm going to make for you today. I have this gorgeous bright one and then one that's a little more subtle but still has a nice pop of color. So basically the first thing I did was just load up this embossing folder with the card panel and run it through my embossing folder. Now this first panel I did not spritz with water. Usually I say it's optional, I often do it, but this one for some reason really warped and even kind of cracked in spots my panel. So I made it work, but this particular embossing folder in general, I would definitely recommend spritzing it with water because there's something I think extra intense about this one. So as you can see, I'm just using the holes of the design, and I'm just using my markers to kind of lay down this color. Now it's kind of messy. If you want to be more concise and really just get within the wells and not touch the walls of the dimension, then you might want to use like a fine liner. But I kind of liked the messiness of it. I thought it kind of added to the design. We'll go with it, right? No, I really did like it. It was messier than I liked in the beginning, but I stuck it out, and I'm glad that I did. So you can see here, I'm just starting with that darker teal in the center, going to the lighter teal, and then yellow, orange, and red. I'm just going to show you a few of these, and then I'll color the rest of the panel off screen. But you'll see there's some white bits kind of coming through with different raised portions on the panel, and that's okay. Like I said, I like the whimsical look of it, and for some reason this embossing folder just really reminded me of those bright rainbow 70s fonts or something like that. So that's what I had in my mind when I wanted to create these thank you cards. So it was fun just to kind of sit there and, you know, mindless work, kind of coloring, just fill in these little gaps. So that was fun. Now the second panel, I did actually spritz it with water, and it did fare a lot better. It did have some warping, but it wasn't as bad. So like I said, this particular embossing folder, definitely spritz it with a little bit of water, and it shouldn't hurt your cardstock, but it'll just help it really take the shape and hopefully not warp as bad. But I knew I'd be able to kind of, you know, attach them down with a good adhesive and that it would be fine. So here I have another panel of white cardstock, and I'm using the same Copic colors, and I'm just kind of scribbling across a section that I know is going to be wide enough for my die cut. And I have this Stampin' Cut set from Hero Arts. It's super cool. It has a nice fatty thanks and a happy, and then it has all these little sub-sentiments that go along with it. So I actually did it at an angle so that I could get more of the colors. And then I have the very bright one for the plain white background, and then a white one for the very colorful. But as you'll see from that card, I ended up switching it out to a piece of black cardstock for the thanks so that it would stand out a little bit more. But here I'm just freehand stamping with an acrylic black waste not want not, using the same little scrap piece of cardstock here, and I'm just doing a couple of these sub-sentiments with a nice black dark pigment ink. This is VersaFine Clair, and I'm just stamping it on the two different edges, knowing that I'm going to cut them down into some sentiment strips for the card. So here's the finished cards today. I attached them to a card panel, and then attached the little sub-sentiments as well as the thanks, and it's all glued down directly onto the panel. I didn't want to use anything other than liquid glue because there's so much raised dimension. I wanted to make sure that it was really stuck down good. But you can see here, super bright and colorful, so much texture and dimension, but overall not a lot of bulk, just because I didn't really raise anything with foam tape or anything like that. So this is a fun way to use your alcohol markers in your embossing folders, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing, and I'll check you next time. Thanks!